Hi guys and welcome to Cheese Club. I'm here with our resident cheese expert, Stephen Sweets.
How we doing?
Today we'll be making a Croque Monsieur.
What's a Croque Monsieur?
Croque Monsieur is a French delicacy and it's made in lots of bistros, but the rough translation is Mr. Crispy. Bread, ham, cheese, baked and topped with a lovely cheese sauce. So it ties in fantastically with what we're trying to do here in Cheese Club, about utilising some of the trimmings of what we've got lying around.
Sounds perfect.
Excellent. We are going to be focusing on Mrs. Kirkham's, and I know that you know quite a lot about Mrs. Kirkham's.
So we wanted to use Mrs. Kirkham's, just something a little bit different. You know, you could use a cheddar, you could use a Gruyere, but this is a little bit more special. It's not as intense, but it's going to really marry well with the flavours that you've got for your Croque Monsieur, rather than overshadowing anything.
Nice. So I'm going to start off by making a bechamel. A bechamel, rather than using all these French terms, it's a milk sauce.
I'm glad you explained it.
Milk sauce, and I'm just going to whisk in some of the grated Mrs. Kirkham's. The French would call that a mornay sauce, but I'm not. So first of all, just on a moderate to high heat, I'm going to be placing 125 ml of double cream and 125 ml of milk. Those get infused with 1 clove, 1 bay leaf and half an onion. Into that, I'm also going to be putting 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard. Mustard and cheese goes really well.
Oh, it's beautiful, especially with this one as well.
While that warms through, I am going to take some fantastic ham that I made earlier and some incredible sourdough. Okay, we're going to be taking this over here. Okay, whenever you're warming through milk or cream, just be careful you don't scald it. Okay, so I always advocate a medium-high heat. Scalding milk or cream changes the sugars in it and you can really taste it, so in the final sauce it won't be nice. What the clove and the bay leaf will do, and the onion, it imparts the flavour. So it's more than just a milk sauce. So we're going to add the cheese, the mustard, and it's going to taste fantastic.
Just marry all those good flavours together.
Yeah, do you know, it's going to be the best sandwich or a piece. First of all, I'm going to take 2 slices of sourdough and we're going to grill them. You can use a toaster, but we're going to put them under the grill just to get them started. Fantastic. Right, we're going to use some of this fantastic ham, which I've already sliced there. Try and keep your fingers off that for a wee second. It's good stuff, eh?
Oh,
that's beautiful. The good gear. So that's the milk coming just a light simmer. So let that simmer for about 5 minutes for all the flavours to go inside. And then what we're going to do is we're going to strain that off into a container and then start again, butter and flour, a roux, what we call it. Just when the sauce has been simmering for about 5 minutes, just simply strain it. So see this Mrs. Kirkham's? I've never heard of it. Where did you source it?
So this is from just outside Preston in northern Lancashire. So it's got a nice history about it because there used to be near 200 producers just before the Second World War, and obviously major tightening on rationing, so everything was really restricted. So a lot of Lancashire cheeses and the recipes have actually died off.
It's a shame that we've lost these things. That's our heritage,
isn't it? It's tragic. This is actually one of the last remaining recipes of Lancashire still around. Cheesemakers called Graham, and they're now in 3rd generation. So it started by his grandmother, so it's really small scale. I mean, they were only making 4 20-kilo cheeses at a time, just because it's a really small scale dairy, and now they're up to a herd of 100 strong, very pampered cows. I mean, they get better treatment than I do at home. It's really nice to see the development of these stories, and Kirkham's has such a good place in my heart because I've been down to the dairy, I've met Graham and his family, and I've made cheese with them. So it's actually really nice to get to meet the people behind the product rather than just, you know, picking something up or going to your local cheesemonger or getting something in your local cheese box.
That's important. I feel that's important because the story behind the product can be lost. And the fact that you've been there, you've met them, you've met the people behind it.
And it has that little bit of extra special and uniqueness to it.
Yeah, good. It's not just any old cheese that you pick off the shelf.
Definitely not. You'll not find this in Sainsbury's or Morrison's. Artisan cheese is actually really beneficial for you. I know people will automatically think, you know, cheese high in fat is going to be bad for you. Your artisan cheese is actually full of really good bacteria, which is great for your gut, and it actually really helps your digestion as well. And it's really good to support local producers, and it keeps them, that heritage that we were talking about earlier, it keeps that going, keeps it thriving, and that's what we want to do.
That is exactly what we want to do. Just as you were chatting away there, I melted some butter into the same pan. I've passed off the milk and cream and the Dijon mustard, and I'm going to be adding them back into each other. What you'll find is they come in and they start to get really, really thick, and then we'll start to fold in half of the cheese. We'll leave the other half afterwards.
If I were to ask you, out of England and France, which country made more cheese? What would you say?
I would say France.
Wrong.
Oh, I thought
it's the UK.
I thought it was going to be double bluff. Is it the UK, yeah?
The UK, we make over 1,000 cheeses.
How many do France make?
France make in the region of just over 900.
So I've made the sourdough, just toasted it off, nice and dark. And then what you want to try and do is you want to try and incorporate this while this is still warm. The whisking, the starch within the flour will start to burst, and that will thicken the sauce. You'll start to see that really thicken there. And that sauce there already tastes very good. So I'm going to add just a pinch of cheese. I'm going to add in just a wee pinch of salt, just to season it slightly. What you want to do is you want to be careful because you're adding in all of that cheese, and cheese can be slightly salty. So it acts almost as a seasoning itself, okay? You want to know one of my favourite cheeses, and I think are vastly underrated. Arran. The Arran truffles. Terrible?
Not my personal favourite.
Oh no, I knew I'd chosen a bad one, I knew it. So I've added in the cheese and that melts in fantastically. I'm going to let that cool slightly so it thickens, and as that cools down, I'm going to construct our Croque Monsieur. I'm going to be adding in a lovely layer of your Mrs. Kirkham's, some fantastic ham, and a little layer of truffle butter. As I let that cool, why don't you tell me a wee bit more about what other cheeses you can use?
So the good thing is obviously we've picked Kirkham's just for its balance of flavour on the dish, but it's really good because you can use any of the cheeses within your cheese subscription box, really depending on what flavour you have. So you can use a little bit of blue if you want something a little bit more powerful, a bit more adventurous. Use a little bit of cheddar again if you want that richer, slightly more salty flavour. Even use a little bit of hard goats or sheep's milk cheeses as well if you want to try something different. I think both goats and sheep's are really underrated, and they'll give a beautiful meaty flavour, especially go beautifully with the ham that we've got on this as well. This is the great thing about the cheeses in our selection box, because it's all varying flavours, but they can be used in anything. I'm not gonna lie, Chef, that is looking at dynamite.
Oh, it gets even better. I've let the sauce slightly cool. You see it's getting really thick. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, it does.
The texture's going slightly rubbery. Now it still has a lot of residual heat in it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add 2 yolks. And what the yolks do is when you add it onto the top of the Croque Monsieur, it thickens and it sets. This is next level. You know your cheese.
This is literally straight to my heart and I'm loving it.
It will go straight to your heart. Yeah, there's a lot of butter in this. Yeah. So, Stephen, tell me, where do you stand on Dairy Dunkers?
That's verging on dangerous territory there, Chef. No, I think the good thing is with cheese is like people like what they like. What I always say is that rather than say I don't like something or it's, you know, it's not a good cheese, I would say, well, I appreciate that you like it. It's not to my taste, but you like what you like.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from Guernsey in the Channel Islands. Good old Guernsey cow's milk, which is the richest in the UK. So this is probably definitely not going to do me any good if I eat this.
How many cheeses come from Paisley? So I've spooned on that lovely rich Mornay sauce, the cheese sauce, and with the egg yolks through it, so when we do bake it, it'll start to set. The other half of this cheese we are going to lovingly put all over the top. Do not mess around with the cheese. Look at that. We know how that's going to taste. So just place this straight into the oven. It's only going to take about 3 minutes. What you want to do is just warm it through and melt that cheese. So out it comes, and then look at that.
Oh, beautiful, Chef.
All that's left to do is to cut it and smell the truffle. Look at that. So what do you think? Is that a good way to celebrate Mrs. Kirkham's?
Absolutely.
Okay, guys.
Thank you for joining us for the Cheese Club Masterclass with Mrs. Kirkham's Croque Monsieur.